There's some important points to be aware of for drug plan changes for 2026. You want to keep these in mind so you do not end up spending more money than you have to if you're on Medicare and you have a prescription drug plan, or if it's part of your Medicare Advantage plan. So we'll just go through these step by step. So number one, obviously the formulary. These formularies change year to year, so you want to make sure to check your drug plan formulary. You could simply put in your drugs on Medicare.gov. The formularies for the coming year become available for you to see on October 1st, just to make sure your drugs are still covered on the same plan. Um, formularies obviously can change. So number two, cost, right? So when you're looking at cost, you want to look at your monthly premium in addition to your drug costs. So you want to take those two, add them together to get your annual out-of-pocket costs. So again, you don't want to just look at what my drugs cost, but if your drugs are $50 cheaper on a plan, but you're spending $100 more, then obviously that probably doesn't make sense, right? Um, so the other thing is just to see which are at a lower tier. Is the lower the cost. Typically generics, they're not always in a low tier, but oftentimes they are. So you want to make sure that your drugs may be in a lower tier on one plan versus another. Three, pharmacy network. So a lot of times when you put in drugs, you'll see standard pharmacy network, preferred pharmacy network. You can swap out the pharmacies, which will also affect your cost. For example, one plan may have a preferred pharmacy that is CVS. Another plan may have that as a standard pharmacy. So that in turn would affect your drug costs. Okay. So total annual cost. So this was a big change last year. They introduced the out-of-pocket max, and when I say last year, I'm talking about 2025, as people went into the 2025 plan year. So they put a out-of-pocket maximum on the total drug expenditure, your total out-of-pocket cost of $2,000. So for 2026, there is a change to that. It's going up to 2,100. And so the way that works, you can think of it now that there's really kind of two phases or stages, because the donut hole's been eliminated. What they used to call a catastrophic phase, that's been eliminated. So you're really worrying about if there's a deductible. So for 2026, the maximum deductible a plan could have is $615. And then after the deductible, you're generally going to pay a 25% coinsurance until you reach the plan's out-of-pocket max of 2,100. Okay. So that is the most that you could spend over the course of the year on the prescriptions. You can also choose to enroll in a monthly payment plan with the actual drug plans. So if you did have a very expensive drug where you'd hit that 2,000 out of pocket or 2,100 out of pocket max very quickly, like in the first month or two, you can actually choose to enroll in a payment plan with the drug plan where you could pay that over the course of the year every month as well. Okay. So number six is a new change for 2026, and that is these Medicare. They're going to negotiate directly with drug companies for certain drugs. They choose 10 high cost drugs, right? And so the way this will work is you'll see costs come down for these specific meds. I'll actually, let's see, I can pull them up to show you. So these are the 10 medications that they're going to choose to negotiate this year for 2026. So you have Eliquis, that's a big one. Eliquis, Jardiance, Januvia, Farxiga, and Entresto. So there's a few diabetes drugs here. There's four of them. Stelara is a very expensive drug as well. So you can see these, if you're on Medicare, you take one of these 10 drugs, you should see a pretty significant cost reduction for 2026. Okay. The negotiated price would become the starting point, for calculating what you and your plan would pay going forward. Okay. So then the other thing to take into consideration would be, obviously you make sure that the plan is available in your location. Like if you moved, uh, during the year, that's been updated and accurately reflected into what your choices are going forward. And then there is something called LIS, low income subsidy. Sometimes people aren't aware that they can qualify for this low income subsidy. And it's based off of, a yearly income limit. So for an individual, it's 23,475, and then for a married couple, it's 31,775. There's an asset test as well. So that asset test, again, for an individual, it's generally less than 18,000. I think the number is 17,600. If it's a couple, then you're under 35,000. Now, if you're over that yearly uh, income limit, there are other programs available in certain states. Like some states have PACE. So PACE is a program that you can gain access to at higher income limits. Generally, it may be up to like 33,000 for an individual, and then a couple. You may be looking at, like, depending on your state, it could be 55,000 or less, somewhere in that ballpark, where you can still get prescriptions. Like even on PACE programs, your limit for drug costs for a brand name drug maybe $25. So just make sure that you're aware of all those options that's available. You can bring it up to your agent as well if you work with an agent or broker. So these are some important drug plan changes for the coming year. Now, this is the same whether you have a standalone prescription drug plan or if you're on a Medicare Part D program. If you found this video helpful, you might want to check this one out as well as we go over some of the differences between supplements and advantage plans. If you found this video helpful, you might want to check this one out as well as we go over some of the differences between supplements and advantage plans. If you found